This quarter on At the Market, the 2022 Luxury Real Estate Outlook. Is the luxury market growing, slowing, or holding steady? And how can buyers and sellers prepare for what might be a volatile year? We're also taking a look at luxury second homes in the bellwether markets of Aspen and the Cayman Islands. But we start by recapping a record year in luxury. Last year, At Properties acquired Christie's International Real Estate, the luxury real estate division of the world's leading auction house. The acquisition gives At Properties clients a whole new window into the world of luxury. And to get an up-close look, we're here at the Chicago office of Christie's with Steve Zick, Senior Vice President and Director of Christie's, as well as Thad Wong and Mike Golden, co-CEOs of At Properties Christie's International Real Estate. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, Peter.
Morning. Hi.
Well, 2021 was a record year for luxury in a lot of sectors. Art and luxury goods being no exception. So maybe tell us a little bit about the year at Christie's, some of the highlights, and what it says about the state of the luxury market.
We found that the pandemic accelerated our transition to digital, but we had an amazing year, $7 billion in auction sales total, and $1.5 billion in private sales alone. So people are pivoting. They love the drama and the excitement of the major marquee weeks for the fine art auctions. They also like the convenience of being able to buy it now, as it were. And so that has really fueled an increase in private sales.
Some of these numbers that jump out at me, $7 billion in sales you mentioned, a record-setting price for a work of art at auction, Picasso's. I'm not going to do the French pronunciation, but woman sitting near a window.
That's right.
103.4 million. Half of your activity occurred online, and you mentioned the private sales. So it seems like there's a lot of parallels to the real estate world. And Mike, I wanted to get your reaction to that.
Without a doubt, I can see the parallels because we saw a tremendous number of private sales last year. Luxury homes that never actually hit the market. There is so much demand right now, particularly in the luxury sector in the Chicagoland market, that there are people that are waiting for things to come on the market, and our agents are out there talking with clients and making sure that they're getting their clients in front of things before they even hit the market. And just like in art, you're seeing people snap things up, the kind of buy it now price, maybe paying up to make sure that someone else doesn't jump in the fray. And so we're definitely seeing the same phenomenon. And as we continue to see less inventory, which is kind of where we're at right now, I think we'll see even more of that.
Getting back to art and luxury goods, one of the big headlines from last year was NFT sales. $150 million worth of NFT sales through Christie's, highlighted by the $69 million sale of the Beeple's NFT first 5,000 days. Stephen, what is an NFT and how does it relate to the world of art and luxury goods?
An NFT is you're buying yourself a spot on the blockchain, which is it's a ability to make authentication just easy to check, impossible to forge. So in the art world, where provenance, authenticity are huge issues, NFTs, you own a spot on that blockchain and your digital purchase is off the server, but you will always own that thing. So whether it can be a video, it can be digital art, it can be any number of things that are held, but you are the owner and you appear on the blockchain. So NFTs are very attractive for that reason alone.
Sure. And Thad, I know this is an area that you have been interested in for a relatively long time meaning a few years perhaps. But what are the applications of NFTs for real estate? Because I know it's something that's being talked about in the industry. And when do you see it kind of becoming mainstream?
Well, I think applications, there are a ton of them. And as far as right now, what's going to happen for the future is really different. You are seeing people, there's a company called Proppy that's doing a great job of NFTing entire homes so that you can have complete transparency, title, etc., and you can have disclosure if someone is a buyer that wants to remain anonymous. That's the easiest way possible, but it's very time consuming and it costs a lot of money. So I don't see that as something that's going to be mainstream in the near term. I do think eventually. What I think you'll see more frequently now is NFTing of specific aspects of a house, NFTing of memories of a home for people. More things as NFT becomes mainstream will be around the house, but not necessarily the entire house. I do think that eventually all title would be on, as an NFT, will be on the blockchain. There are some basic functionality that the blockchain will improve in all real estate transactions. But as of right now, things are going to stay the same for a bit.
Okay, and Christie's is a trailblazer in this area with art and luxury goods, right?
Correct. Yeah, and Beeple brought $69 million with his first consignment. The second one was 29. That was a bit of a hybrid. There was an actual object with a video inside. So yeah, we're going to be exploring more of this space.
Wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about volatility. Since the summer of 2020, asset prices have kind of moved in one direction, which is up. Now, here at the outset of 2022, we're finally starting to see some volatility. Christie's CEO, Guillaume Cerruti, told the Wall Street Journal in December that volatility and inflation combined with the recent rebound in auction sales could actually convince sellers to put more pieces on the market in 2022. So Stephen, I want to ask you, how does volatility encourage sellers to become more active?
When I started in the business, it was a dirty word to think about buying for investment. It was just buy what you like. And nowadays, clearly, it's an asset class in its own right. So as this asset class is showing continuing strength, great appreciation, of course, if some of the rest of your portfolio is suffering, weakening a little bit, you can always go to the art class and sell there. Mm-hmm. And you're probably going to get some really great returns.
And Mike and Thad, with regard to real estate, is volatility going to curb activity? Could it possibly spur activity? What are your thoughts there, Mike?
Volatility in our world is very interesting in that obviously when prices are going down or things are unsure, some people sell because they need to generate cash and they need to monetize. And sometimes they're selling low, sometimes they're selling as right now, they're selling at what we look at as all-time highs as of right now. Now, is that sustainable from a price standpoint? That's a big question mark. I don't see prices falling dramatically, although there are some areas that probably are overheated. But generally, real estate is a hard asset. So to Steve's point, a lot of people may, when they get nervous about maybe their liquid assets, they'll start taking some of that money and putting it into hard assets. So art and collectibles is definitely one category. Real estate has always been in that category.
Steve, thank you for joining us today. Enjoyed the conversation, and we're really excited about the partnership between Christie's and Christie's International Real Estate. Looking forward to doing some cool collaborations with real estate and art and luxury goods. So hopefully we can check in from time to time, and thanks for coming on.
I'd welcome that, and we're very excited ourselves. We think there's great synergy between the two companies, and we look forward to a long and happy partnership.
Thank you. A prevalent theme on At the Market over the past couple of years has been the second home market in all price categories, and especially luxury. And with affiliate brokerages in 48 countries and territories, no one covers the luxury second home market like Christie's International Real Estate. Recently, Natalie Hamrick, Executive Vice President of the Americas for Christie's International Real Estate, caught up with two of our affiliates to talk about the state of the market.
Hi, Sue and Alex. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I know you guys are extremely busy, so we'll just jump into it. Across the board, 2021 was a record year for luxury real estate. How did your markets fare? And what are a few examples that you have of sales that were really indicative of the state of your market? Sue, do you want to go first?
Sure, Natalie. And first of all, welcome from Kempton Seafire Resort and Spa overlooking beautiful 7 Mile Beach in the Cayman Islands. It has indeed been a record-breaking year for real estate sales in the Cayman Islands, following a path that we've been on since 2015. I think indicative sales, we just sold our last 2 penthouses at the residences at Seafire last December. So, we're both now entering into that ballpark $2,000 per US per square foot sale market for beachfront condos. And a member of our team, Flora Coleman, who's also part of your Christie's Master Circle, she also brought in buyers for the top 2 residential sales ever achieved in the Cayman Islands last year, which is really remarkable for 2 private residences when you consider that our borders were closed. So really some good evidence that our market is robust, to say the least.
And speaking of borders being closed, that is really remarkable. So kudos to Floor. Alex, do you have some interesting sales that you could talk about?
We do. Aspen's been on fire, as you can imagine, as many of these luxury markets have been this last couple of years. Probably the most staggering stat in Aspen is there's been 40 sales over 20 million since the year 2000, and 26 of those sales took place last year.
Oh, wow. So Alex, I'll start with you. What were the one thing that buyers were looking for, and has the pandemic changed that at all?
Absolutely. It used to be in Aspen that everybody was looking to be in the core downtown, and properties, what we consider outside the roundabout, were sort of out of favor. That certainly has changed, where in 2020 we had over 10 million category, we had 10 years worth of inventory.
Oh, wow.
That has now all been snapped up, and there's very limited property available. But again, the properties that were out of favor are now in favor because they have lots of land or they're spread apart. So that was actually a welcome change since those properties were so difficult to sell pre-pandemic.
Right. Sue, what are you seeing?
What we are seeing are a lot more families coming here. Beforehand, it used to be what I would consider more of a couples market, but we're definitely seeing demand for larger properties to accommodate families with children, and also families looking at making it a multi-generation property, whether it's a vacation home or just something, to spend as a safe retreat if unfortunately things take a turn again in the future, which we know they're not.
They're not.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Same thought.
International travel has been unfortunately severely curtailed during this pandemic. So who's been buying in your market, and do you see that international buyer coming back anytime soon?
Yes, Natalie, we're definitely seeing international buyers coming back, and they've been doing it while our borders are closed. And now that they're open, they're definitely coming back. So again, that's driving that increased pace of sales.
Alex, what about you?
Yeah, Aspen's been interesting. We certainly lost our contingency of international buyers due to what was going on over the last 24 months. However, those were replaced by the major metro area, well-heeled buyers that were looking for ways to get out of the big cities and find a new place to call home. It'll be interesting to see how many stay for the long haul. Because you have people coming from places like New York City, which is obviously one of the most energetic cities in the world. And then you come to Aspen, which is a great place, but a little bit quieter than what you would expect in the city.
Right.
So now that things are starting to open up slowly, we are starting to see the international buyers come back. We did have a number of international sellers over the last few years that felt they weren't going to be able to come to their properties or felt this was the time to sell. So we did see some reasonable inventory coming out of those folks.
Thank you so much for your time, Alex and Sue. It was a great conversation, and I look forward to seeing you both soon.
Well, guys, what are your takeaways from Natalie's conversation with Sue and Alex? Mike?
Pretty exciting for the second home market overall. I think it just shows the strength and the value that people are putting on real estate. Obviously, we've seen what I would consider a seminal shift in our world, especially with people willing to pay enormous prices, record prices in a lot of these areas, and now looking at actually making them their home more than just a second home.
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of markets. Aspen is sort of the leading indicator, but all of the ski towns, a lot of the country estates, the second home market has boomed. Our market in Southwest Michigan and Indiana and in Wisconsin and Lake Geneva has been on fire, exactly what Alex said, although I wouldn't use that reference if I was in Aspen personally. However, his prices are on fire. And I think the prices are throughout America. And I think that the perception and value that people place on home, that's not going to change for a while. That's permanent. Now, what they can afford, that could change. But I think that the idea of wanting more and being okay with investing a larger percentage of your net worth into a home, that's changed for a long time.
All right, it's predictions time. So 2022 luxury real estate market slows, grows, or holds steady? Dad?
Slows, grows, and holds steady. It's where you are. It's like asking the temperature of the United States of America. You could say 54, but where you are, it could be 83. And where I am, it can be -5. So in some aspects of it, I do think it grows. In some areas where it's the most desirable and it's incredibly scarce and there are more people than there are properties that want that, you'll still see growth. As far as stability, in many of the markets, I think, well, Chicago's a good example. We never saw the big boom, and so I don't think we'll see a big bust. Now, in some markets where you have many homes being built at $1 million and up, and the major supply that's being absorbed is all $1 million and up, I do think those will see retracement in pricing.
Okay. Mike, where do you stand on that?
So I think we have reasonable, at least in the short term, we have reasonable stability in the luxury market with an asterisk in that we're not sure about supply. Supply is a big issue. So if you in terms of price stability, I think prices will be relatively stable for at least the short term. I think the markets have the opportunity to stay steady if there's enough supply in the market, but we don't know, and each market is a little bit different. But I do agree with that. Over the long haul, I worry about some of it in that, a lot of people are buying these multi-million-dollar homes, putting big mortgages on, and doing these interest-only 2.5% mortgages, which makes you feel great. But if there's any cycle in our economy, which there's always cycles in the economy, and there's economic pressure on some of those people, the first thing they think to do is dump their secondary residences because it's not critical for them. And that's when things could change a little bit.
Guys, since I've got you here, what recommendations would you give to the luxury home buyers and sellers that are in the market today? Thad, sellers?
Well, think about a stock. All the times you had the stock and you washed the peak and you wish you would have sold it there and it never gets back there. If you live in a home and you're flexible and you can sell sometime in the next few years, and you see pricing that you thought you would have not achieved for a decade from now, and it feels very good, I would never try to time the market so closely that you would wait. I think sellers have far more to risk right now than they do to gain, and I would get that home ready, talk with your broker, get it set up, and get it listed quickly.
And Mike, what about buyers? Given that we may be at the top of the market, what advice do you give to a buyer?
I would say as a buyer, you have to look at your future and look at what your goals are. If you're thinking you're going to buy a house and flip it in 2 years and make a lot of money on it, you might want to think about not doing that, because that might not be the greatest idea in the world. But most buyers are looking for 5 years, 10 years down the road. I think you still have to find a home that you want to live in. You need to enjoy it. Buy what you love, and then make sure you take the advice from your real estate broker. Talk to an at Properties, Christie's International Real Estate Agent, and make sure they give you good advice so that you understand and you don't overpay so much that you could put yourself in a bad position because you just have to have it. When you also think about where we're at in the market versus like the last downturn when we did see some real pricing depreciation, we're not overbuilt, we're not over leveraged, we're not overheated. So if anything, there's still opportunities in the marketplace because we haven't had this massive run up because of too much supply. So I still think as a buyer, it's still a great time to buy. You're able to lock in at a great rate. You're able to find the home that you want. You just have to have that longer term outlook as opposed to I'm going to get in and get out quickly.
Well, 2022 should be an interesting year. Mike and Thad, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks also to Steve Zick, Natalie Hamrick, Sue Nickerson, and Alex Jansen. If you have questions about the luxury real estate market or any sector of the real estate market, talk to your at Properties Christie's International Real Estate Agent, and we will see you soon at the market.